By now, most people who've attended a wealthy college have likely heard or seen the word Latinx. The anglicized Spanish term is gender activists' latest attempt to impose their perverse ideology on the rest of the culture, and on Spanish speakers in particular. What is so significant about adding the letter X to the word Latino? To activists, it solves a confounding problem. There is no gender-neutral way to refer to individuals in the Spanish language. Someone, for example, may be described as a Latino writer if a man, or a Latina writer if a woman, but there is no phrasing for those who don't consider themselves male or female. But in the early 2000s, activists came up with a solution. Replace the O in masculine words like Latino and the A in feminine words like Latina with a gender-neutral X to create the inclusive term Latinx. For a while, Latinx remained a niche term, secluded to small circles of academics and activists, but not for long. Around 2014, eager to appear inclusive, colleges and universities started to adopt the term. As a result, institutions such as Harvard, Yale, New York University, and the University of Florida began to relabel. For example, Hispanic Heritage Month became Latinx Heritage Month, and Latino Studies was changed to Latinx Studies. But the institutions should swiftly abandon the confused term for several reasons. For one, according to a 2019 study by a progressive-leaning marketing firm, the overwhelming majority of Hispanics in the United States do not want to be referred to as Latinx. According to Mario Carrasco, co-owner of the firm Think Now Research, 98% of Latinos prefer other terms to describe their ethnicity. The researchers found that 44% of respondents prefer the term Hispanic, while 24% preferred Latino or Latina. Only 2% said they prefer the term Latinx. And according to a December 2019 national poll by the Pew Research Center, only 23% of U.S. adults who self-identify as Hispanic or Latino have heard of the term Latinx, and just 3% say they use it to describe themselves. Even the Royal Academy of Spanish, widely considered an authoritative source on the Spanish language, refuses to accept the term Latinx. Only English language dictionaries, such as Merriam-Webster and the Oxford English Dictionary, include the term. Perhaps one reason Spanish speakers do not want to be called Latinx is because it simply doesn't make linguistic sense. On a basic level, it is almost impossible to pronounce. The word, which originated in the United States, is pronounced Latinx, a pronunciation that doesn't exist in Spanish. Ironically, the Spanish pronunciation of the letter X, which is X, is not used. Additional problems arise when speaking in the plural. The plural form of Latina is Latinas, but it's entirely unclear what the plural of Latinx would be. The label is of a world utterly divorced from ordinary Spanish speakers, a fact that proponents of the term openly acknowledge. David Bowles, an assistant professor at the University of Texas, Rio Grande, said, "I am just a few miles from the Mexican border. If I were going down to the local taqueria, they wouldn't know what you were saying if you used the term." Besides the lack of cultural awareness involved in the term's usage, the main problem with the word Latinx is that it embodies a gender ideology completely unmoored from reality. Absurd in its premise, it denies the fact that, apart from rare medical disorders of sex development, there are only men and women, male human beings and female human beings. While the change from O to X might seem minor to some, It is in fact an attempt by ideologues to impose a highly questionable theory of gender by distorting and policing language. Time and again, gender activists have used terms like Latinx to shut down rational debate and intimidate skeptics into ideological conformity. The more terms like Latinx become accepted as legitimate linguistic terms, the less activists' underlying ideology will be subject to scrutiny, and the more hostile they will be towards those who hold common sense views of gender. In the end, academics, activists, and progressive politicians often claim that they want to empower minorities, to give a voice to the voiceless. In their minds, they work tirelessly to liberate marginalized groups from the unjust constrictions imposed upon them by an oppressive white patriarchy. But, as with many of the crusades progressive elitists engage in for the sake of marginalized groups, this attempt to pervert the Spanish language is just another example of how out of touch they are with the very people they claim to serve. Despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of Hispanics in the United States do not want to be referred to as Latinx, elite academics are clearly less concerned about cultural sensitivity than promoting their currently fashionable but highly confused outlook on gender. Universities should refuse to endorse this incoherent ideology and discard the term Latinx altogether. You can read more about this topic at www.jamesgmartin.center. And please like this video and subscribe. Thank you.